2 minutes after 8 a.m. My name is Philomena Masco. We're going to be talking about what is happening in Mubende and Kasanda. Now, when I talk about these two districts, of course, what comes to mind is Ebola. And we know that this was the epicenter, or is the epicenter, where we did register our very first cases since the outbreak a couple of weeks ago here in Uganda. And we also want to look at enforcing the presidential directives on Ebola outbreak. Now, we clearly know that His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni on Saturday did address the nation, and he also did talk about what was going to be done to ensure that this outbreak does not spread to areas like Kampala and all other surrounding districts. And he did give quite a number of tough directives. Amongst them was, of course, enforcing a curfew in Mubende and Kasanda districts from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and also making sure that there was no entry and exit into these respective districts. And this morning, of course, we are very lucky. I will be talking to the RDC of Kasanda to tell us exactly what's happening there, how they're taking all this, how the directives are being enforced, how is the population in these two districts responding to all these directives. And obviously, we would really want to know the way forward. We've also seen the Ministry of Health and another bigger team go there, and they've had a meeting. What was this meeting all about? And of course, if they were talking about interventions, what are some of these interventions, and how are they going to be enforced, and how, to make sure that we see progress when it comes to the fight of the Ebola outbreak in Mubende and Kasanda, to make sure that it is not spread to all these other areas. Well, this conversation will be online, and of course, feel free to be part of it. Get onto our social media platforms and tell us what more can be done by government, especially when it comes to these areas of Mubende and Kasanda, or even in the surrounding districts, to make sure that this Ebola virus does not really spread to us. But also, as we are standing right now, His Excellency did ask Kampala to be quite on a high alert, just in case we register any cases. As we're standing right now, though, we haven't registered any for now, and we hope the trend can go all the way like that, as we're, of course, trying to ensure that we fight what is happening in Mubende and Kasanda, and we get back to the normal times. Well, this morning we are joined by Namulindwa Phoebe, the RDC of Kasanda district. Good morning. Thank you so much, Phoebe, for joining us this morning.
Good morning, listeners and viewers of UBC TV.
Well, first things first, I would really want to say thank you so much for the work you're doing. We are clearly seeing you people are really fighting head, tooth and nail to make sure that, you contain it over there, and trying to make sure that the people of Kasanda and Mubende stay calm even amidst these situations. Thank you so much. We do appreciate those efforts. And getting into it now, maybe I'll just start from the point of the directives that were given by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Now, on Saturday, he did have a national address, as we all know it, and he did quite issue out a number of directives, especially for the population in Mubende and Kasanda. And some of those, of course, were a bit tough, but I mean, we have to do what we have to do to make sure that we contain this. Now, I would really love you to give us quite a picture of what's happening, the response coming in from the population, because right now we did see a number of borders that were impounded because people failed to meet the curfew. How is the response going on for now?
Thank you so much for having me, for hosting me. In my entire life, I had never imagined that I would, the way you introduced us, that I'll never be in a district where I would have like Ebola.
I know.
Like when we said that the only thing now we are talking about when you talk about Kasanda and Mubende is Ebola. So I was like, oh my God. But anyway, truth be told that we are in such a dangerous area. And what we did is that we want to thank the president so much, because with the guidance of the Ministry of Health, he saw it important that we needed to have a lockdown in this area, because people were failing to adhere. the population was failing to adhere to whatever we are telling them, the SOPs. Some of them, you realize even the cases, the ones that the president talked about, some of them actually came from my district, and people were going to bury, people were going to witch doctors, people were going to seek for prayers, thinking that they're being bewitched and all those sorts of things. So this kind of lockdown and curfew came in handy. And as a district, what we did is that, of course, right away, when the president gives directives, as the chairperson of security, we convene, okay? I convene with my forces, and then we try to discuss and see how we are going to do it. And this was done immediately the president, after listening to the president's speech. And when we sat down the DPC plus other security officers, the DSO and the rest, we realized that we needed some bit of manpower, because we had a manpower shortage. Because Kasanda has quite a number of routes that interconnect with the other districts. That is Chankwanzi, Mubende, Chiboga, Mitiana, then Gomba. So we realized that we needed, the first thing we needed to do as a chairperson was first contact my respective RDCs, that is the ones that are in the border districts, to ensure that they try to help me at least on their side. Then I also contacted the RPC and informed him, because he had already listened, but I was seeking guidance, especially in terms of, because he controls the entire region. So I was trying to sit with the DPC to try and see where he can, or if he can write to the military detachments that we have in Kasanda, rather in Mubende and Mitiana, because Kasanda doesn't have any, so that we first get manpower that is going to work, that is going to help us. Then we also tasked the DPC plus the DSO and the crime intelligence to sit down and come up with a deployment plan on how this enforcement, first the enforcement that we have, and then we try to identify something. And when we did that, we reached out also to the DIGP and Director Operations, who visited us on the next day. Yeah. The next day when the DIGP was in the district, he went to Mubende and later on came to Kasanda, and we deliberated on a number of issues, and he promised to help us on a number of things. Because remember, Kasanda has mines, it has the biggest population, people use borders. And as I speak of now, we have tried to put up checkpoints at every, like most of the routes, we have tried, at least we are very visible. The other time we were very thin on ground, but now we're very visible, at least people know. Only that you cannot fail to have those errant border cyclists, those who believe that somehow they still feel that it is as if it has somehow it has not yet sunk in that we are at war, like the president said. So we are still moving ahead. The good thing is that the ministry, we also met the ministry, the team from the ministry, a delegation that was led by Honorable Minister Luther Cheng, and the PS was also part of it, plus representatives from UN. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can, please.
Okay, yeah, we had a meeting with them yesterday, and they also came to try and back us up, because initially we had also had a meeting with her. So this was her second visit to Kasanda, to try and sit with us and map out ways on how we are going to enforce some of the directives, and also to make us understand the genesis of some of these directives. And after our meeting, we went to the field to meet some of the communities of the affected areas. And when we reached there, of course, she had an interaction. She found when the community had been mobilized, so the entire team, because we had her entire team at the ministry to give us backup. And of course, they looked at some of the challenges that we were having, and they gave us some solutions, specifically the issue of having a holding center. Initially, we had proposed a certain place where we would have a holding center, because Kasanda and Mubende, the distance from Kasanda to Mubende, especially Kasanda Town Council, realized that it has almost 65 kilometers.
Yes.
And we didn't have enough capacity to be able to always, in case, because the number of alerts that we are getting on average are like 5. And then, of course, the confirmed cases, we have 5 confirmed cases. So, and we also still have those that whose samples were taken, and some are still in isolation in Kasanda. Those some were also brought back to the community, like you saw when the minister flagged off the fact that some were coming back, like 2 cases. But we realized that we needed to have a holding center. But somehow we had faced a little bit of resistance initially before I moved to Kasanda, because before Kasanda I was in Luwero. So when I came to Kasanda, they informed me that they had gotten resistance somehow from the community. The other times when we had the first outbreak of Ebola in some of these neighboring districts. So we talked to the minister because we had identified the place, and she told us it wasn't suitable. So we needed to first engage the other community where she went, because we have an epic center. We have a place that is in Karwana sub-county, which is actually next to Madudu, where we had our first case, where the person who had our index case, where the person came from. So we realized that she advised us that we needed to work with her, because we have an incident commander on ground who is coordinating so well with the ministry, and also myself as the chairperson of the district task force. So she advised us on a number of things. They sent us actually ambulances that are on ground that are going to help us in handling other emergencies.
Yes.
They might not necessarily be for Ebola, because remember, Ebola is here, but we still have other diseases, other illnesses that are affecting people. And remember, now we have already cut on the movement of these people. So we also sat down and agreed on that, because we have people who need their ARVs, we have people who need to move, who have been receiving medication from other places. Yeah, so we discussed that. We also discussed that with the enforcement officers, especially on who should be led to inter-movement, inter-district, like not from one district to another, but within the district, because we are not allowing people to move from Kasanda to any district. But people are still moving within, especially those that have reasons to move. For example, we have teachers and schools are still running. So those ones are still moving. We only told the DO that he needed to inform them about what is needed. If a teacher has an ID and they identify themselves to the officers that I'm a teacher of this particular school, then they are let to go. We have students who are crossing over, who are moving from one place to another. So these ones also were advised to ensure that when you see a student, we advise the head teachers that all students must be in uniform for you to be able to identify by what?
Yes.
By the officers. Then we also have health workers. Ella?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I go ahead.
Yes, please.
We also have health workers who are helping us, who are like the frontline people on the front line. So these ones also, we told them that no health worker has been stopped from working. The only thing you need to do is you need to identify yourself, because remember, the officers have instructions, but they're also not stupid, like some people are portraying it. Because I've had a lot of things going around on social media. You know, social media is one thing that sometimes I feel that gives some of us headache, because someone just gets a phone, takes a video, and then they caption whatever they're taking, giving their opinion, not necessarily giving what is exactly on ground. So me myself, I find it really difficult, especially with the whole social media and the rest. But somehow it's helping us also to keep check on some of the things, and also to inform us, because remember, we are not everywhere. But the issue we've been facing mostly is the resistance has been with the border guys, because Kasanda has a big number of border cyclists, because it's an area. So you find that some of them still think that they need to carry, they are pretending, they're pretending to be carrying food, they're pretending to be carrying cargo, and yet someone is busy moving about with what? And then at some point when they reach a point where there are no officers, because we cannot be like everywhere at like every spot.
Absolutely, so the numbers are a bit limited.
Yes, there are those gaps which they are taking advantage of. But as a team, yesterday we met with the DPCC, and of course, as incidents come, we still always update him. I tasked him to ensure that he keeps talking to and orienting the commanders of these particular routes and the checkpoints.
Okay.
His subordinates, the one who
Yes. Now, maybe also, if we are to talk about the health workers, we did get reports that there is one more health worker that succumbed. I think this is Mubende district. And maybe I just wanted to check on the, yes, I wanted to check on the progress of the PPE. The last time we had a conversation, you did talk about how you had asked the Ministry of Health to actually avail more PPE for the health workers. So I would love to know how far with that journey, and maybe is this affecting the population, especially when it comes to the psychosocial aspect? You know, as an ordinary person, when you're seeing your doctors really succumbing to the disease, I think there could be a bit of trauma and fear and all that. So how are you handling that? First the PPA, and then maybe when it comes to the psychosocial support of you know, the public generally in both these districts, how are you doing with that?
Okay, with the PPEs, yesterday, the ministry, that other time, when the last time you hosted me, I remember I talked about it.
Yes.
And the ministry, through NMS, we had already written the call of orders, and they sent us. However, the PPEs that were sent were inadequate, were extremely inadequate. Because if I tell you what they sent us that time, I was telling the minister and I was extremely angry, because they sent us very little. They only sent us 5 pairs of gumboots at that time. And I felt this really sickening, because you cannot drive a full truck of almost consuming almost a lot of fuel, and then you come and send me things that are almost like five pairs. Okay, I found it so hard that, but the good thing is that we informed the minister at that other meeting that we had yesterday, and then she directed, plus the PS, we informed them, and then they directed them to ensure that Kasanda receives PPEs. And they promised, I think I am yet to be updated on the progress, but they informed us that they are bringing. But also, there are other partners that reached out, that helped us, especially some of the IPs that we work with. Initially, all these IPs were concentrated in Mubende.
Yes.
And they had ignored Kasanda. And then we also had to raise our voice. And some had come and they are working, claiming to be doing activities in Kasanda, yet we didn't even know about them. So there was some bit of wrong information that was being fed to the National Task Force. So we ironed that out. I reached out to the minister, I reached out to the PS, and then also the incident commander in Mubende, and asked them for their help. So somehow these IPs are trying to, some of them, most of them have come, and we are working together. And then, of course, World Health Organization is also helping us. Yesterday, they sent us a truck that delivered not so much PPEs, especially in terms of chlorine and those detergents, disinfectants, and then some gloves. But we still need more, so we are waiting on to the ministry. But I think they could have delivered, because since we had the minister yesterday, and she vehemently, and the PS also made sure that she talked to her officers to ensure that Kasanda gets the necessary PPEs. Because previously, we had much in our pockets where we had to ask for, like get money. Me, myself, I contributed money to my, to the team that was going to bury, because you cannot let people's children, they are at the front line. You can't let them go to the what? To the field with PPEs. So, yeah, but
well, sorry about
that. Is because that time there was a bit of miscommunication, and the ministry is out, and yeah, I know, I'm very sorry to do that. Yes. Part of this remind me of the other issue that you want me to comment about.
The psychosocial support, especially for the communities where, you know, they've witnessed that some health workers have succumbed to these. And maybe also you could draw more light on some of the recoveries, because again, that is one of the greatest worries where we had.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah. Of course, with the psychosocial help, like the other time I told you, our communities, especially the ones that have people who are aware that we've got confirmed cases, even other areas, even with the health workers. Yesterday, I was even my health team, even the team I work there, all of us are really in a panic. We are moving the way we're supposed to move, but we need people to always talk to us. And we decided that every other day or every morning, at least, as the chairperson of the task force and some other councillors, we can always be engaging these people on a constant, okay? Because remember, they're frontline workers. And having heard that some of their friends are succumbing to Ebola, then this is something that also somehow needs to where they need to be talked to. They need psychiatric, psychosocial help. Yes. So when I go to the community, we have two people who have recovered, like fully recovered, and the community, of course, when we sent there our teams to try and engage them, they realized that there was a lot of stigma in the community. If someone is picked, remember how people who are dressed like the workers, the frontline workers, how they come when they're dressed in those overalls and what. So you find that the entire community is scared. So somehow these people have been facing a lot of stigma, but slowly we moved in. I personally went to Jeremiah's home. Yes, I went to Jeremiah's home and I talked to the community. I talked to the community around. I met the family where he is, because this is the gentleman who has lost a child, who lost a wife. So somehow you also feel that he's really in despair. But we've been talking to him. We engage him once in a while. When he has issues, he calls us. He informs my psychosocial team that we have. He informs Dr. Carol, who is the psychosocial person we have. And she told me yesterday, the information she gave me was that they are recovering. Then we also went to the community where the second suspect was. Yes. We went there with the minister yesterday with the team, and that is where we held the engagement. And the essence of us going there was, of course, we had informed the minister that there is a lot of stigma, and these people needed a lot of community engagement. So she felt it wise with the PS to move in and engage, help us, boost us up, okay? And then also look at those gaps. So we engaged the community and also informed them that that we needed
Well, sorry for the inconveniences, the internet break-ins. Well, that is Phoebe Namulindwa, the RDC for Kasanda district, of course, a neighboring district to Mubende. Some of the districts where we've actually recorded a number of Ebola victims, and also, sadly, recording a few people who have actually succumbed to the Ebola disease. And she was giving us quite a heads up and some updates when it comes to enforcing the presidential directives on Ebola outbreak and the way forward. Now, Phoebe, as we're trying to wind this one up, what more else are you doing? What is there that maybe we ought to know for those of us, because especially for like now Kampala, we were put on quite a high alert by His Excellency, and he did even ask KCCA to be quite vigilant. So what would you say to the districts that haven't yet been through some of these tough situations like you're already going through right now?
Okay, what I would tell the districts is that, it doesn't hurt for you to be able to be vigilant and be proactive. Because at the end of the day, like you heard what the president was talking about, some of the information maybe that we had not shared with you as the population, but the president talked about it. The issue of people who are moving. Okay?
Yes.
Because we have, truth be told, we have porous borders. That's the truth. But we need to ensure that the population is aware that we have a deadly virus that is in what? That is in the country. So it doesn't hurt for you as a leader not to wait for you to get a confirmed case, but to go around and handle, be able to manage, encourage people to put hand washing facilities. Those basic things that the ministry has talked about. And also mind about people who talk to the LCs, the LC1s and the VHTs, so that they be vigilant. They move house to house, informing people about the outbreak and how this virus can be avoided, okay? before we wait, because if we wait and then we wait for a lockdown, because I'm sure the president always has been saying he didn't want to put a lockdown, okay, and have people, have curfew. But it's because we do not behave, we do not want to listen. Some people still insist. You have like the man who moved to, I think, Budak or something. The gentleman had a sick wife, but he felt it wise to move and go and bury, honestly speaking. So some of these things we need to ensure that we work collectively, involve the political side. I tell my people in the district, the politicians, the MPs, I inform them that this has nothing to do with your political affiliation. And Ebola does not discriminate. When the whole village or the whole constituency is wiped out, which people are you going to live? Who are going to send you in these particular positions that you're at? So it's time that they realize that we are at war, especially those ones that are in these affected areas, but also the neighboring districts, because our people are errant. They move from one place to another. We're trying to restrict them, but just in case you need to make sure that your population is aware. The chairman LC1s must be able to know or profile the people that come in their villages. Those new people, because now when you look at our index case, this person moved, having lost a child in Madudu, they moved with the woman, with the wife, the late woman, to a relative's home. When they reached here, we did not have the information, and they stayed there for some time and went to Suji to be prayed for. So some of those things, I encourage my people, like they say, there are those areas where we have like Kampala Metropolitan, even Wakiso, because people keep pairing in. We have a lot of business people who come in the morning and move out in the evening. So you ought to ensure that your population is aware that yes, Kasanda and Mubende are the red zones, but even us as people who are in these districts need to ensure that our population is aware. If people have, if someone has any of the symptoms, encourage them to move to the health facilities. Let them not go to the private clinics. We are facing a lot of opposition from private practitioners, and yet some of them are not even some are not even trained. So I think also as a government and the ministry, it's high time we try and try to move around and see these health workers, these private clinics that we have, how are they operating?
Yes.
Some of them, because they are private, they are looking at money, okay? Somehow you find that they're not ready to cooperate. They know there is a virus, but the health workers, they are not sensitized enough. So we need to move in as a country, move in as a government, as a ministry, to ensure that some of these things are handled. Even the issue of witch doctors, because it's true, as Africans and as Ugandans, we still have those practices.
That's
true. We ought to let them know. Like the president said, for him, he used to take what? Lugoni, okay? That he grew up, the mother used to give him that. It is true. All of us, some of us grew up also taking things that our mothers, those concoctions that they used to give us. But this time around, the government has declared there is a war, there is a virus, and the president was very keen. So we ought to also engage them, because remember, people move from Kasanda to go to Wakiso to visit a witch doctor, okay?
Yes.
So please, my counterparts in these districts, please engage your people. Learn from what we are doing, learn from what the government is doing, learn from, because at least for us as RDCs, we always interact. And some of our counterparts are also doing the same. So the other leaders that have different dockets, I encourage you to please help us and ensure that we sensitize so that the whole country is up in alert to know that this virus can get you anytime, anywhere.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Phoebe. And I really want to wish you the very best as, you still engage in this fight. And we'll also do our part creating the sensitization from wherever we can. Thank you so much. All right. Well, there you have the updates about what is happening in Kasanda and Mubende. And like I did say, or she actually encouraged for the, sensitization to be done. Just in case you still don't have a hint of what we're talking about, it's the Ebola virus that we already are fighting with. And clearly Mubende and Kasanda districts have quite taken a very big blow when it comes to this. But also one thing that you need to know, information coming in from the Ministry of Health, they will keep telling you that much as this one is much as it is a very dangerous disease, it's actually preventable for as long as you take the necessary steps. When you recognize the signs and symptoms that I will be sharing with you shortly, well, you have to report to the necessary and the needful health people. And now, it has been advised that the Minister of the Ministry of Health, she did come out to ask people, when you recognize the signs and symptoms, please do not jump on a border, because in that very action, you are actually spreading it. Remember that it is easily spread through body contact, and looking at borders, obviously there is some body contact, physical body contact, and this is what we're trying to fight against. So there are certain numbers that have been shared by the Ministry of Health. You can look for it on all their social media platforms on which you can contact just in case you have witnessed the signs and symptoms of the Ebola virus. But we can also talk about the prevention of Ebola right now. It is, yes, a very severe and oftenly deadly disease that can be prevented by doing quite a number of things. Number one, you should avoid direct contact of body fluids from any person or an animal that has been suspected to be infected with the Ebola virus. Now, how do you know that? I will be sharing with you some of the signs and symptoms shortly. Number two, if you really must handle a patient suspected to be suffering from Ebola, make sure that you use protective material. I'm talking about I'm talking about hand gloves here, and also masks. Make sure that you use those. If you don't have them in your possession, maybe you need to stay away from this person and just alert some of the health workers or health facilities that are around you. And number three, persons who are suspected to have died of Ebola should be buried by only trained burial teams as assigned by the Ministry of Health. Do not take the chances, much as it may be your loved one. Please let the trained people do the burying themselves. And then in case you handle a person suspected to be infected with Ebola, make sure that you wash your hands with soap and water to avoid all the necessary risks. And looking at some of the symptoms of Ebola, we are talking about a sudden onset of fever. You don't know where it has come from, but you're actually feeling very weak. Well, you need to be very keen on that. And when you have a headache, also if you are showing or feeling a general weakness in your body, and looking at some chest pain, which also could be an indicator that you do have this Ebola, and pain while swallowing, which could also equate to having a sore throat, is also another symptom you ought to look out for. Having diarrhea, which is also another symptom. Vomiting and unexplained bleeding from body openings. So we are looking at ears, we're looking at the nose, mouth, eyes, and any other necessary body opening on your body. So you have to be very keen while you are observing, and also this could be on you or could be on your neighbor. So please be very, very cautious. And also hiding someone who has been in contact with an Ebola infected person is very dangerous to you and the community. Right now, we're trying to garner support from every community member. So if you suspect anybody, you don't have to hide them, because at the end of the day, you're putting yourself at risk. So you can always talk to the nearest health facility so that they can help you out. on that to make sure that we can collectively fight Ebola in Uganda. So please make sure that you do the right thing, be very cautious, avoid physical body contact as for now until we are cleared of the virus. Well, that's it. We have the GMU sports updates that will be coming in from Ruben Mpima Chibirango, and also do look out for GMU Extra that also has the extra content for you here on Good Morning Uganda. I want to wish you a beautiful Tuesday morning. I am Philomena Masco. Good morning, Uganda.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here, in the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking to the taste of food that takes you on a journey, in the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth. In the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the pearl of Africa. Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by.
Simply make a small deposit of 99k and pay the balance mpola. You can pay in daily, weekly or even monthly installments while you enjoy your new phone. So what are you doing today? Visit any MTN shop near you and get the MTN cupboard. That's super easy.
We bring you a fresh, well-researched program to help you identify opportunities for investment, job creation, growing your entrepreneurial skills, wealth creation, and social transformation.
We have a product that is ready for schools, supermarkets.
Create wealth, transform livelihoods. Every week, we showcase opportunities for creating new products and services.
I now harvest a lot of cocoa. When I harvest it, I sell. After selling, I put money in my project. I have 2 projects. 1 is for construction of my house, 2 is for educating my children.
Excellence in innovation, the passion and drive to succeed, and the right mindset to grow your business. Create wealth, transform livelihoods. Brought to you by Operation Wealth Creation.
Stay connected on the largest 4G network in Uganda using the Airtel 4G Pocket MiFi at only 75,000 Uganda shillings. It comes with 15 GBs free, valid for a month. You can connect up to 10 of your friends and family at a go. Visit the nearest Airtel shop to get one today or call 0800 333 330 for free delivery within Kampala. Dial *175 *9# to activate free 15 GBs. Airtel, the smartphone network.